So guys, we're back on defense again. And get your notes ready because this time we're focusing on defensive buffs. Hi, and welcome to Red Evony. I am Akayasha. You can call me Aka. So, we are continuing our defensive series, and this time we are looking squarely at the buffs that you need for defense, how to get them, and how to prioritize your buffs for defense. All right, now, as you'd expect for defense, the first thing that we need to go through and really understand what's going on is to look at the cornerstone of our defense, the wall general. Now, for some people that don't know, your wall general actually buffs your defense in several different ways. The first and most common one that we all know is that your wall general takes gear. Now, the kind of gear that you get on your wall general will be dependent on your level. And just to let you know, we are not covering all the different gear choices that you have for your wall general. We've covered that in a different video. I'll put the link for that video and the series on gear that we have down in the description of this video. You can also refine the gear, right? Refines we've covered in the previous video. So we take note of that. Then the other way that your wall general buffs your defense is with the base stats, because they provide buffs for all of the troops in your keep. And the way you increase the stats for the wall general by raising the general's level, putting stars on the general, in addition, doing cultivation on the general. So those are the ways that you increase the base stats for your wall general. Then the other way that you get buffs from your wall general is with the general's skills. So that includes the general's main skill, the ascension there as well. In addition to that, the general's specialties, okay, and skill books. So the type of wall general you have, the level to which you have developed the wall general, and the skills that you have on the wall general all play an important part in building up your buffs for defense. Now, if you have a regular defense, which means that you have top tier troops, you have layers, okay, maybe you have a T1 base, things like that, the wall general that you pick is actually kind of important. And you pick the wall general based on the type of skills that the wall general has. I've covered this in other videos, but you can have a wall general that is specialized for one particular troop type, or you can have a wall general that generally buffs most of your troop types. Okay, now, if you are using a T1 trap setup, this might surprise you, but the wall general that you have for a T1 trap setup is not particularly important. In that kind of setup, what is important is that you have gear that you have done the flat refines on. And in fact, you can find on YouTube videos of people like my good friend Mr. Yours trolling players with his T1 trap using crappy wall generals but with fully refined Achaemenid and Parthian gear. So if you're a T1 trap, the gear is what is important for you, not the general. Now, before we carry on any further, quick question, guys. Have you heard of Paxify before? No? Okay, well, let me introduce them to you. Paxify is a company that provides discount services for gamers. They have been in operation for over 4 years, and they are quite established in games like Whiteout Survival, State of Survival, King Shot, Guns of Glory, and several others. Plus, they come highly rated on Trustpilot and Google reviews with lots of reviews available to go through. And now they are providing discount services for Evony players. Okay, so what else do you need to know about Paxify? Well, depending on how much you spend, you could save up to 35% using Paxify. That's direct discount, okay? Not cashback. Paxify is available to Android users and iPhone users without the need of installing emulators. Paxify is region free, meaning that anyone in the world can use it, and it's very easy to set up. So yeah, if that sounds cool to you and you're interested in checking it out, there's a link in the description of this video leading you to the setup video that I did to show you how to set up Paxify. Plus, I have the links to the Paxify website in case you want to check them out and see what they're all about before you hop right in. So guys, if you're interested in that, give Paxify a try and see if you can get some discounts on your Evony purchases. Now, with that being said, if you're looking for a general to put on your wall while you're a T1 trap, you can even go as far as putting debuff generals on your wall. Okay, something like this, for example. The good thing about this setup is that it gives you debuffs that you need for PvP. Some of the debuff generals might actually have buffs that might help you out, but if you're a T1 trap, those are percentage buffs which are not really important for you. You really just want the debuffs. So you can have a debuff setup like this on your wall. The only downside to this is that if you get to the point where you want to graduate from being a T1 trap, you are going to have to start setting up a wall general at that point. And you might have lost some time. So you could argue that it's good for you to set up that general now and then use it as you go along. All right. Now, in addition to your wall general, you also need an assistant. Now, for my keep, this is the assistant that I'm using. And you pick your assistant based on the areas of your defense that you want your assistant to help you with. All right? I've done a video on this that lays out all the things that you need to consider when you're picking your assistant. I'll drop the link in the description. And you have a wide range of choices for your assistant. You can pick another wall general. You can pick a debuff general, whatever you want, okay? Then, of course, while we are talking about your wall general, we also want to talk about you having a dragon or a spirit beast on your wall general. Dragons are better than spirit beasts, no question. But you need one of the two of them to add additional buffs for your defense. This is the dragon I have, okay? And you get the buffs obviously from refining the dragon, but more importantly, from raising the dragon's level and also doing talents on the dragon, okay? So whatever you're doing, you need to buff up your dragon if you have a dragon. If you have a spirit beast on your wall general, then of course you need to raise the level of the spirit beast and do the smelting and do all of that stuff, okay? And make sure that whatever spirit beast that you're choosing to put on your wall general has buffs that actually work on defense. All right, so either vanilla buffs or in-city buffs. That's what you need. All right, so that's basically the core things that you need to keep in mind when trying to get defensive buffs from your wall general. However, there are other central things that you also need to do in addition to your wall general to give you buffs on defense. The first central thing that we're going to talk about is your monarch gear. So here at your monarch, the gear that you have affects your keep in so many different ways. And when we're talking of defensive buffs, you need to be selective about the type of monarch gear that you are using at the time. Now, what I have here is basically the simplest combination of monarch gear that you can have for defense. So I have here the Ares gear, and this one gives buffs for all troops, okay? Attacking and defending. And you basically get the Ares gear for all the pieces that you have. All right, so we have for the staff here, for the grail, and for the decoration, all Ares gear. Now, when it comes to your monarch gear, if you're playing the game fairly intently, and let's say you're not spending all that much or you're completely free to play, you really want to make sure that you get your monarch gear to level 8 or level 9. That's what you should be aiming for to get to your monarch gear. Beyond level 9, it's going to take some considerable investment. Okay? Now, as I mentioned, this is one setup that I have for my monarch gear. I have another setup which is this, and this focuses on buffing certain aspects for certain troops on my defense. So I have the Aries staff here to give attack buffs for all my troops. I have the Thunder Grill here to give HP buffs for my mounted troops. And then I have the Mountain Decoration here to give defense buffs for my ground troops. So this is another setup that you can use for your Monarch gear. The next thing that we want to talk about is the Monarch talent. And for this one, we're going to be pretty brief on it. When it comes to your Monarch talents, there are specific talents that you want on defense. Now, I'm not going to go through all of them, but I want to highlight something very important here. This one that we have right here, Sub-City Attack. And this one increases your attack buffs for each of the sub-cities that you have. So you want this one on anytime you're on defense. In addition to that, if we scroll down, you want this one here, in-city HP, okay? You also want this one here, sub-city HP. If you get this far, you want in-city attack right here, sub-city defense, okay? And defending troop defense, if you get this far, all right? These are the important things that you need on your talent for defense because they will actually increase the buffs that you have on defense. Now, finally, while we're talking about the core things that you need for your defense, we have to talk about the victory column. The victory column is important because it increases the attributes of all of your generals, okay? Every general, including your world general. So you see right here, increases general basic attributes, and my victory column is at level 9 and I get plus 8%. All right? You want these kind of buffs that universally apply on your defense. So, like I said, these are the core things I want you to focus on when you're trying to build out your buffs for your defense. Next, we're going to go through the secondary sources for buffs for your defense. And we'll also talk about buff priorities in the next video. So make sure you check it out. Thank you very much, guys. Aka signing out.